Periscope.
Oh. Peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abba, aka Mr. Just the Facts. Tonight we got our lovely sister Angela Nirvana on out of ADOS SoCal, and we're gonna have a discussion tonight. We're gonna talk about the video that we just watched with Brother Tone and Ice Cube as well. Just point out some of that dialogue and how this movement can actually grow. You know, this thing can grow if we could eliminate certain things, but we'll get into that later. Hit the like button, family. Share this out. Let everybody know that it's on and popping. Special shout out to the BTP moderators. I have an announcement. We're moving our BTP youth discussion from Saturday to Sunday. Several of the youth have some things going on, and we don't want to try to cram them in. They're all free Sunday as opposed to Friday, whereas they got to go do, some of them have to do some practice or something like that. And we're going to accommodate our youth at the end of the day. And we don't want them to feel any pressure when they come on here. If you want to support the Be the Power platform, you can contribute to our cash app using the handle Be the Power. You can also support our Patreon. I'm going to put that link in the chat. And, follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Join our Facebook group. Look in the description for those links. Got my brother Josh in the building, waiting for the other brothers to come on. But, without further ado, let us get our sister, Angela Nirvana, who I actually met. It was just certain people that I met at the ADOS conference. I took pictures with them. And
yes.
Or even, just certain individuals that I met. And many of them are the people that we had on this platform. And it's so funny. There's one picture I took with somebody, I can't remember who, and I see the brother Reggie from Boston is in the background of that picture. And I was like, man, we had him on the show too. I didn't cordially meet Sister Friday, but I remember her saying something to me and I responded to her. I can't remember what the exchange was, but she was on the platform as well. I didn't meet Sister Tamara at the conference, but I just remembered seeing her. And she was on the platform. I met at the conference, and it's good to have you on the platform. Introduce yourself, sister. Let people know who you are, a little bit about your background, some of the things that you're doing out there in with ADOS Southern California.
Yes. What's up, Ali Bay? I just want to thank you, brother, so much. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege to be amongst you. I have great respect for your work. When I met you, Naheem, at our inaugural conference in Kentucky, I had no idea that you had been doing this since 2009. And you were so humbled. You didn't really talk about it. But I'm just grateful and humbled to be amongst you. And I look forward to when you guys bless the Friends of ADOS TV channel.
Oh, we'll be there.
In kind, because my family would love to have this kind of fire on my show. I'm Angela Nirvana. I got into politics after 8 years of Obama. Started watching Yvette Carnell. He was with Boyce Watkins, excuse me.
Boyce.
I'm just having fun, y'all. Y'all
okay, have some fun. You can have fun on BT.
And so I started. I was working Bernie Sanders' campaign when I saw Yvette with Boyce, and just fell in love with her. I loved her political acumen, and I loved the way she framed every discussion with me in mind. And I thought to myself, look at all these people. Well, we were small then, she wasn't that big then, but it started to grow. And that's when I started meeting people of like mind, like spirit, like love for the ADOS. And I thought, oh my God, I have found my tribe. So I kept studying and studying. And then Kamala threw her hat in the ring. And I mean, the forest was on fire. I kept asking what was the solution, as did everybody. I was told to go be the solution. Now, that's what I was told. So I went to be the solution. Chris Lodgson hooked me up with what was LA ADOS at the time. I was Cali movement, something like that. ADOS Cali movement. That's what I was. We got together and formed SoCal, ADOS SoCal. We formed that right after Juneteenth, and we got to work, and it was wonderful until it wasn't. And so we part ways, and they became ADOS LA. We kept going with SoCal. I partnered with Marlon Aldridge to bring together a pact because we don't believe any of this happens until we replace Congress with ADOS who are full-chested about our repair. Because if the current Congress could get it done, they would have got it done. So we formed the super PAC, and as you guys know, that was dragged. And it's like, I thought we were told to be the solution. We assembled a bunch of great minds and leading chapters all over the country. Half of them fell off behind that whole debacle. And I kept going. I was like, I don't need permission to move. I'm going to do this because it's for the love of the people, not the personalities. I've never been a loyalist. I've never colored within the lines. And I was so thankful to have met other folks that did not color in the lines and decided to go full steam ahead. So from that point, I started collaborating all over the country with Triangle ADOS. Shout out to Don Page, William Dickens, Dr. Gibson, just Nikki, all of you. And then I started partnering with ADOS DMV. Shout out to Asan Powell, Tansy Flakes, Marshall Pearson. Like, we were still going to get this done. So we started collaborating on COVID responses and COVID demands, and we started trying to put together a march inside of Al Sharpton's march, and then the COVID hit. Well, the COVID restrictions hit. COVID was already here. But it was, without the support of who people follow as a leadership, it gets hard and very costly to do all this. It's like an albatross around your neck. So, but we didn't stop trying. We kept meeting and kept doing things to really give ADOS the visibility it long needs. I formulated the Friends of ADOS TV to build trust in the community around the Friends of ADOS PAC, which is being renamed because once it blew up on Yvette's show, it just kind of lost momentum. And so it's being renamed because that work still needs to be done. Contrary to popular belief, I listened to Yvette's show the other day. I get the C4 part, but what are we waiting on when it comes to a super PAC? I don't understand it. With their support, we could have gotten Tamara Johnson-Shealy much further along. All it took was for them to be in support or at least jump on a call to be briefed instead of just choosing to have these fights in these Twitter wars in open spaces for everybody to see you be dragged. And that, is kind of like how you and I and some others have been kind of hands tied in certain instances, but we keep going because that's how we're wired. We've got the wind of the ancestors at our backs, and we're being the solution. So here I am. I had the great privilege of being on Black Pac's show recently with Logic, and that was fire. And I got a lot of love about our contribution to that show. Logic was unapologetically Logic. And he just when Miss Stagg was trying to get an apology, that brother stood 10 toes down like that would be a no. He just gave that face like that's not happening because I didn't disrespect you from telling you the truth.
That's right.
You are rude. So no, you don't get an apology. But that's, what? It's just nothing but love. And I'm so grateful to all of these platforms that are spreading this message. This is how we're growing. We're the ones that are helping Tony Vet. We are the wind beneath their numbers. Their subscribers are up because we each share their videos and speak them up and keep pushing for ADOS amongst all the noise. But one thing Yvette said is right. The infighting has got to stop. And we've got to be on this work for ADOS and keep the train moving. It's
Fact.
the station already. Here we are.
Fact. Fact.
Yeah.
Brother Ali, if you would you want to add anything?
No, I was just saying that I agree with the sister in terms of the infighting and that it needs to stop. I thought, as a matter of fact, I thought that the interview that just went off with Ice Cube was an excellent dialogue. It was a very educational moment, and it's the kind of thing that we have been advocating for in terms of that kind of thing being conducted in that way for a while, since our conversation with Chubb Rock, even, you know what I mean? Which we intend to do more in the future like that, where we have these dialogues with these people, because at the end of the day, they're our family members, And even when we did our Ice Cube show, one of the things that we pointed out was that even though we had some concerns about certain issues in his Black plan, the one thing that I know I pointed out was that we got to remember that he's a family member. He's a fellow tribesman. Not only that, he's a taxpaying citizen, right? And as a fellow tribesman and taxpaying citizen, he has just as much right to speak on the plight of our people in this country as anybody else. So the thing that we have to do is ensure that our people who are in certain spaces in life, whether they're entertainers, ball players, whatever, that if they come into this particular space and want to speak, that they're on code with us and that they have the information, they're empowered with the information and armed with it so that they know exactly what they should be saying and everything else. So yeah, Chubb Rock, that's my brother. One love to Chubb. That's my brother for life. He's gonna always be my brother. Don't matter if he's Jamaican. That's my bro. Word.
That's what. All allies are welcome. You see, all allies. You got love for ADOS, and you're not getting in the way of the mission, and you clearly understand that reparations is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. I can rock with you. I can rock with you, and I'm down for that. So you're right. Celebrities do matter. And this was the one thing that blew my whole pack out of the water. Somebody took an excerpt from a defense video I did about the pack, because I found myself in defense mode after Tone was low-key shading it. And they took an excerpt where I said that we may have to change the name of the pack. It was going to be left to the decision of the board so that we could work with celebrities, after one of my donors asked, well, how do we get celebrities on board and get more dollars? Because that's where the money is concentrated if we keep dragging celebrities. I merely said we may have to change the name of the pack to draw the celebrities, because why? We need their voices. We need their celebrities. Was the DNC calling any of us? Were they calling Yvette? Were they calling Tone? No, they called the DNC, and the Republicans called Ice Cube, from what I just learned on Tone's show. So you can't disparage celebrities. You've got to leverage that, especially when they're ADOS and they love us. Similar situation happened out here. Shout out to Connie Collins, ADOS SoCal. She actually got Lunel and Shaka at a Mother's Day event. And then they ran with ADOS, and it was powerful because it was on their lips. And then she scheduled sit-downs with me and these celebrities so they could understand and be more refined in what we're demanding so they could get on board. So I've always advocated for celebrities to be included and welcomed, not dragged.
Understood, definitely. I mean, look, I listened to the Ice Cube and Tone interview. I thought it was a powerful interview because it opens the door for another segment of quote unquote Black America to hear the wealth data, et cetera, et cetera. Another reason of the reasons that we started BTP. Some of us are connected to the streets. Some street cats that listen to BTP, and we try to break it down in a way that's palatable to them. And I believe that that's the way that you're supposed to do it. A lot of people seen our conversation with Chubb Rock, and I thought that it was a good conversation because it appeared that he came in one way, but by the time the conversation was over, he had a better understanding of what we were talking about. At least it seemed that way on my end. And the brother ended by saying that, like, you know, he has some more research to do, and that he wouldn't mind coming back on to the platform. So, you know, I thought that that was a powerful conversation, and it gave us kind of a blueprint of how to have this discussion. I mean, we're gonna keep it official. We not gonna get starstruck just because we got some stars on the panel. That's not gonna happen. We're gonna still speak that data, that research, and that truth. So, you know, shout out to Brother Ice Cube for coming on the platform.
Yeah, I want to say something too. I think it's more so about your intention. You know, if your intention is keeping the end, beginning with the end in mind, if your intention is to get to the result that we're looking for, which is transforming the politics of Black agenda reparations, if your intention is to uplift the group as a collective, then I think the conversation you'll have with and about those individuals will, you know, they'll be able to feel it, you know, and we can win with them as a advocate. You know, we can win them as an advocate and you know, recruit them into the fold, you know, provided that they have the level of humility to receive the information that their intention is aligned with ours. So I'm believing that that's what the case is now. I never thought that the brother Ice Cube had a nefarious intention or anything like that, or, you know, some side motives that were separate from what we're trying to accomplish. And so I mean, I hope this, you know, moves in a better direction. But I just think, you know, as long as our intentions are good and in the right place from whoever whoever's giving the message and whoever we're giving the message to, I don't see how we lose in the scenario.
Agreed. Exactly. We can only grow. We can only grow when you look at the numbers of somebody like an Ice Cube and his collab with the ADOS movement. You know, and if we take this momentum and now push out HR 40 while ADOS is on everybody's lips, because prior to Antonio's show, I watched Roland Martin's show, and I saw this. Now I didn't see the whole thing, so maybe Roland was a little friendlier. But what I saw was him trying to take that collaboration from the hands of ADOS, because mind you, he is from the islands. I think he's of Haitian descent, and he, along with Joanne Reed from the AM Morning Show, have been disparaging ADOS, calling us bots, calling us Trump supporters, doing all this in the third. And so I saw him trying to give the relationship that's been fostered with ADOS over to Aisha, or whoever the lady was that was leading up Black Lives Matter, which a lot of these things don't get traction because they're not sincere. The way they're wired, they're not wired and rooted in repairing ADOS. And so when your motives aren't pure, it crumbles. That's why, Miss Thing, we haven't heard from you, and you say you've been at it 20 years. That's why I had never heard of In Cobra and Narc. Your motives aren't pure. You're trying to make this about all groups, all Black, when it's ADOS that needs repair. So it fell away. And so it took for ADOS in just the 18-month reform chapters to make reparations a national debate topic and have, you know, people actually vying for a little attention within our movement. So like Chris Lodgson always says, if they're not talking about you, negative or positive, you don't matter. So I'm here to tell you, in Cobra and Narc, you don't matter compared to the ADOS movement. In 18 months, we become relevant. And so I say, let's keep the momentum. I see you, Roland Martin. I'm bad about these nicknames. I see you, Roland Martin, trying to give this away. But the beauty of Tone backing up the rear, as strong as he is, and the way he can inform you and run it down in an hour show, you know, I feel like we've got the heart of Ice Cube. And these folks are Johnny come lately as they try to destroy him for doing what you should do. Listen, I'm a litigator and negotiator by trade out here in LA, okay? So my thing is, you're not just supposed to talk to the Democrats, who, oh, by the way, have already told you nothing fundamentally is going to change. And oh, by the way, I'm not doing anything specific for your group, even though you're tethered to the bottom. And oh, let's wait until after the election. There's not a group, like Tone said, out here that's being dragged and disparaged the way the ADOS is for sitting on both sides of the aisle, and especially when they called Ice Cube. Asians ain't being dragged for making demands of both parties. Hispanics aren't being dragged. But let ADOS stand up for itself. Let ADOS put that gate of love around ADOS and what we're owed. And then everybody comes from our neck and our throat because we decided to throw everybody off the tent and focus on the repair of ADOS, who built all the wealth they benefit from. I'll take a breath.
No doubt. Hey, look, I want to share something real quick, bro, about Ice Cube, because I know he's taking a lot of heat right now about meeting with the Republicans. But let me know if you can see this, because I want the family to see his tweet, because I like to go to the horse's mouth and go right to the primary sources. Can you see this, bro?
Yeah, it's up.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if but so here you have, and I just posted this not too long ago. Let me just show you what I said. I said Ice Cube, along with the family from ADOS Los Angeles, and there may be other ADOS chapters out there that worked with it, but I just put that because he mentioned them in the tweet. Ice Cube, along with the family from ADOS Los Angeles, worked with the Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom on Bill AB 3121, which is a bill designed to benefit Black Americans. And see here, you can see for yourself, Ice Cube said, "Thank you, Governor Gavin Newsom, for signing AB 3121. And thank you, ADOS Los Angeles, for bringing the bill to my attention so we could push from all angles." So here you have this brother working with a Democratic governor out there in his state on this bill that's supposed to be put in place to benefit Black Americans, right? This is not something that the Republicans did. This was a Democratic governor that they met with and worked on this bill and got it passed. At the same time, if you look at what Ice Cube said, he didn't seek out any of the Republicans. He didn't seek out any of the Democrats. He worked on this particular Black agenda piece that he had with certain scholars or whatever, and they came up with these agenda points. He said that he had it publicly. The Democrats and the Republicans both reached out to him. He said the Democrats told him, yeah, we'll try to deal with that after the election. The Republicans adopted some of his agenda points. This was not something that he was seeking, like he didn't go seeking them out. They came to seek him. My question is, why did the Democrats seek out Ice Cube just to try to put him on ice? Why? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
They sought him out and then told him, yeah, we'll deal with that after the election. So why did you even bother? Why even bother in the first place? And here's the other thing that I thought about. Why did Joe Biden have a public meeting with Cardi and her WAP and not Ice Cube with his contract to Black America? You can sit down with Cardi B, who was sitting there talking about what we in Black America want, but you can't sit down with Ice Cube, who has something that was actually put in place by some scholars, some economists, and so forth. You can't meet with him, but you can meet with Cardi B publicly. Like this was on television, not I don't know if it was on TV, but I saw it on the internet. Joe Biden sat down with Cardi B and they talked about a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
So all of these blue checks, like they call them, the blue checks on Twitter, they going off on Ice Cube. But the fact of the matter is, where's all of the outrage over Cardi B? You got white politicians on a regular. White politicians on a regular drafting and passing legislation that affects our lives on a regular basis, right? In a real way. And nobody ever runs any of that stuff past Black America. They just do it.
That's
they
right.
just do it. They don't nobody ask us our opinion about it, right? They just do it. But you don't see no outrage and pushback and humiliation and all of that kind of stuff that they're doing to Ice Cube. You don't see black Democrats doing that to white Democrats who are doing this stuff on behalf of Black America without our consent. They don't ask me anything. They just pass laws and they do policy, whatever. You understand what I'm saying?
Real talk. Yeah, I said that's real talk, because the bottom line is capitalism needs a bottom caste. Hey, they decided long ago that ADOS is it when they drug us over here in chains for the most heinous chattel slave labor known in the entire born world. You understand? And so that's why they'll sit with a Cardi B who writes lyrics called WAP, okay, and not do anything real serious in terms of who they sit down with when it comes to repairing ADOS, like I mentioned prior. Everybody has been on the tit. I mean, I done see more black folks crying over DACA and the folks at the border than I do the tears that, you know, I'm all cried out behind our brothers and sisters and babies being gunned down by government sanctioned execution. You understand? And they, I mean, I think I saw, who was that one that recently passed? John Lewis. I mean, he was wailing and gnashing his teeth. He was going hard in the paint for the children at the border. But who goes hard in the paint for the preschool to prison pipeline that could jail a beautiful brother like Khalif Browder over a backpack he never stole?
That's right.
Goes to Rikers in his teens, okay? And he's sitting up there in solitary confinement because of the rapes and the beatings he had to suffer. That brother finally gets free after we demand his freedom because his mother couldn't afford his bail. She couldn't afford his the best of defense attorneys for him. All of that. And can you imagine how many brothers on lockdown right now that's in Khalif's situation? And while this Rittenhouse cracker fool goes to a Black Lives Matter protest and the race soldiers are giving him water, and he murders 2 Black Lives Matter protesters and maims a 3rd. Okay, I recently saw how these cops got fired or arrested or charged for killing a possum. Okay, shout out to Alexis Cummins in my Facebook said, oh, so possum lives matter, but Black lives don't. We can't get any charges for Breonna Taylor. Sleep up in her home with her boo watching a movie. But these 2 can be fired and charged for killing a possum. And so I always say it like this, family. We are at George Floyd 846. It is time to burn America to the ground. And sadly, not enough people are on board for that, because the boomers in particular, who got all the gravy from affirmative action, which is no longer our own. White women benefit first from affirmative action. That's immigrants right. Next. LGBTQIA is 3rd to that. There's nothing left for us, okay? After you give it out to everybody. That was meant to make us whole. So the boomers got their piece, and they just want peace. They don't want war. They don't give a damn about the woke boomers, the broke boomers, the broke Gen Xers, the woke Gen Xers, the broke millennial, the woke millennial. Everybody else be damned. We got our creature compass, we got our pensions, and we cool. And that's the problem I have with folks not being ready to break the back of the establishment. And I know we're going to get into that, Naheem, about making way to deliver a Republican top and a Democratic bottom. But definitely. Yeah, that's why we don't have them sitting down with serious scholars when it comes to our repair. They don't want to repair us because nobody wants to trade places. That's right. When they run you your 1.52 million per ADOS over multi-generations, you won't need them. And somebody else will have to trade places and take that bottom. That's why they don't advocate and sit with serious folks when it comes to ADOS reparations. That's right. All right, we got my brother Logic that just entered the building. I don't know, brother Logic, if you wanted to touch on anything that you heard. I don't know if you listened to the conversation that Tone had with Ice Cube, if you wanted to speak to that before we get into the next section of what Sister Angela Nirvana was speaking about her Republican top or Democratic bottom or vice versa.
Yo, peace, fam. What's good? I just want to say, I think Angela Nirvana is one of the most powerful and dynamic voices in this space.
Fact.
Everything, her energy is such electrifying. And what I just jumped on and heard, she talk. Y'all know how we discuss in private, right? She talking my kind of talk right now. You feel me? So I'm pumped up. I need more of that. I'm feeling that. So I'm
Blessing.
all about offering the political consequences, but I'm before that I'm a winner and I'm about winning. So what I am having the uppermost forefront of my thinking is how to deliver these consequences that and where the result ends up mission success. So education and organization is the foundation, and then the capstone of that is leadership, right? So now, because the leadership provides direction, right? So
Yes.
education, organization, and leadership. I did listen to a decent portion of the interview with Tone Talks and Ice Cube, and I saw a lot of discussion about um, Ice Cube and what he may have and may not have been doing with whatever his business is. Because whatever he is doing at the end of the day, he has the right to do, whether we disagree or agree on whatever it is that he's doing. But one thing that I try to put out there is that I think personally we are over focused on the presidency, and the presidency has like kind of just like put horse blinders on, and we think that we have to kind of monopolize our political energy and focus on the president all the time. We got to meet with the president, we got to sit with the president, we got to address the president, we need a president. And then, but if you look at the historical results of that, even when we were most successful in presidential engagement and we had stuff happen that way without really focusing on Congress or the lack of congressional focus, those things have eroded and eventually evaporated for us. If we go into what is from here to equality is referred to as the 7 mystical years, right? When we saw a glimpse of what could be an America where we was able to have access to democracy and representation, we saw what it took to try to shape our lives the way we wanted our destinies to be manifested. And that's with capturing the power of policy. Without the pen, you can't write the story. And what controls the narrative is the policies in America. American policy controls the narrative for the groups that live and exist in this country. So without a general assembly in your state that is making legislation where you live, our destiny is unclear and uncertain. Without a policy prescriptions in Congress, our destiny is unclear and uncertain. If we want to meet and create a change where we live and in the nation and create national transformation, we have to sit down with the leaders who create policy. What am I talking about? In your states, we need to be sitting down with the leaders of the General Assembly. I'm talking about the Speaker of the House, the minority and the majority leaders, the Senate President. Same for Congress, because these people control the purse. Your General Assembly controls your state budget and what your state allocates. The United States Congress is the same way. It controls the U.S. Treasury. It directs the Fed. So we need to understand it creates the policies for America. And if we understand that policy prescription is what we need, we damn sitting and meeting with Trump. He's a polarizing figure. Even if Biden wins, he's still polarized to such a degree that whatever the legislature looks like, they're going to really fight him. And you can't even really get a whole lot of public support because he's so polarizing. So whatever issue he champions is going to have an automatic pushback from a too much of a portion of the public because of the polarization. So only way that we can bring the public to the center is through engaging Congress. And people don't understand how that happens, right? Because that doesn't come with a whole lot of media attention and a whole lot of press. You got to do some silent work. We have to have people working in the background and in the foreground, right? So we need to We need to be focused on the policies. That's where it starts. Then we can metastasize out to, working on governorship and working on the presidency. But we have to fix what has historically been wrong. And I'm going to give another example. We had the worst president in history, but we saw for a moment in time what a Congress could do. Even when Andrew Johnson was vetoing the Civil Rights Act of 1866, we saw a congressional veto override, a congressional override for that veto, right? He was a devil, but we had a abolitionist Congress at that time. He vetoed the 14th Amendment, but we had an abolitionist and reparationist Congress at the time. So they was able to override that one too. And they ended up impeaching and making him the first president to be impeached, even though he didn't get removed. He was the first one brought up on impeachment charges. So that's that even though all times are not alike and all conditions are not the same, there's still a historical lesson to be learned on what you can get done, even if you have the worst president in the history in office. So we need to take notes from that, build a reparationist Congress. You understand? And then we can get reparations done, no matter if the devil is in the White House or Satan is in the White House or a dragon or a beast or whatever you want up there. Because the Congress is the will of the people. That's where the will of the people rests at, is in congressional representation. So that's really kind of wrap up my thoughts of the day and my little comments in specific regards to the interview that was going on with Tone and Cube. I thought it was, interesting enough interview. I mean, I don't really have much to say about it. It's a good discussion. More discussions like that need to be had. I wish that discussion could have happened beforehand or earlier, but it is what it is. But I really want to hear more of what Angela Nirvana got to say. I tell you that.
Oh my word!
All right, real quick, you provided by speaking about that congressional focus back in those days with Andrew Johnson and the Congress. Sister Angela Nirvana has a theory, and I was telling her before we got on that, we was at first, we was like, I don't know what she talking about right there. But then the more I listened, I was like, wait a minute, I don't know, bros. That kind of makes some sense right there. So I want the sister to break down what she means by a Republican top and a Democratic bottom, or a Democratic top and Republican bottom. And I don't want to misconstrue your words, but I know you said a Republican top and a Democratic bottom. Give us a little breakdown, sis.
Okay, well, basically, I thought that that's what we were intending when we talked about voting Dem down ballot. Basically, we need to deliver a Democratic Congress to protect the over 42% of ADOS who rely on government assistance by design of institutional systemic racism. So, I know the Green Party is not perfect, but they were offering reparations and they are willing. I had the Angela Walker, Green Party vice presidential candidate, on my show, and she is willing to sit down and talk with us about the improvements that need to happen to the reparations section of their platform with ADOS. And so I have been doing this amazing series from this book called Prejudicial by Margaret Kimberly. And she talks about these presidents in relationship to Black America, from George Washington all the way through to Donald Trump. And she's got these little bite-sized chapters on each of these presidents and the puckery they're in. And so in the namesake of time, I will just give you an overview of how this idea of Democratic down ballot is not new. This was invoked by Dr. Charles Morris, pastor of Abyssinian Church, back in the era of Theodore Roosevelt, when Theodore, after he was elected, to those of us that think we can get anything accomplished after we get these presidents elected, you're sadly mistaken. You know, you can wait until the cows come home, but if you don't make demands and get them on the hook before, you have nothing to hold them accountable to. It'll be like when Obama put Sharpton and his crew out in the snow when they came Johnny come lately with an agenda, while folks were so caught up in the euphoria of Obama being a black man, which we all know he's not ADOS. And this is why his no to reparations is an albatross around our necks, because now it gives everyone permission to say they're not doing anything specifically for us. That needs to happen. So I'm going to just give you an overview of what happened. If I could just implore you, brothers, just a second, if I could just read these 2 little paragraphs real quick. Okay, so in effect, by the time Theodore Roosevelt entered office, now mind you, we were Republicans back when. So you're going to hear him talk about this strategy we're invoking in the reverse. Okay, by the time Theodore Roosevelt entered office, Republicans had long since abandoned their most loyal constituency. But in the face of legalized segregation and lynch law, the Republicans were still seen as Black people's best chance. That's our Democrats of today.
That's right.
In light of weaponizing the Republican Party and immigration against ADOS to keep us tethered to the bottom as what they're now working on as the permanent underclass in this country, this is what people are saying. The lesser of two evils is the same strategy they had to invoke back when. We don't fault them or blame them, but it's time for us to stop that after 84 years. We've been voting Democrats since 36, since Roosevelt, okay? Black Northerners were still able to exercise the franchise, and Roosevelt knew it. That is why he waited until after Election Day in 1906 to announce that he was committing a grave injustice against a group of Black soldiers. The 25th Infantry Regiment of Buffalo Soldiers, a name for the Black regiments of the time, arrived at Fort Brown near Brownsville, Texas on July 28, 1906. From the moment they appeared, white residents kept up a campaign of vicious harassment and threats. When a white man was shot to death, members of the regiment were forced to flee a mob of people who accused them of committing the murder. Tensions were so high that the regimental commander ordered an early curfew and confined the troops to their barracks. A second shooting was blamed on the already quarantined soldiers despite confirmation of their presence in the fort. Without an official charge or trial, 167 of the troops were dishonorably discharged, deprived of pensions, and prevented from gaining federal employment or reinstatement to the Army. This decision was not announced until November 5th, 1906, after congressional elections had taken place and leaders such as W.E.B. Du Bois had urged Black voters to stay in the Republican column. Isn't that what Clyburn did? Down in South Carolina after Bernie beat that, 3 states straight? This is the last paragraph. Dr. Charles Morris, pastor of New York's Abyssinian Church, spoke for most of Black America when he described the chain of events. Quote, "The president's decree was signed the day after the election. He shot us when our guns were empty. But we shall have 2 years to work, and our slogan shall be a Republican Congress to protect our people in the South and a Democratic president to resent the insult heaped upon us. Thus shall we answer Theodore Roosevelt, once enshrined in our love as our Moses, now enshrouded in our scorn as our Judas." Close quote.
Ooh, that is fire. That is fire.
When I come on the show and I talk about Democratic down ballot, I had company in Dr. Charles Morris. Like I said, it was flipped back when. But we got 2 years to replace this Mickey Ficky Congress with the likes of Tamara Johnson Shealy.
That's right.
That's right. She is a reparationist, top of her platform.
That's right.
I'm not saying each of us, I don't have 10 grand to lay on the sister, but if we all gave to TamaraForGeorgia.com, she would have what she needs to be a real contender.
That's right.
Down there doing the heavy
Come
lifting.
on now.
And Logic already said, and brother, I just love you black and strong. You, let me tell you something. When you would not apologize to Miss Sage, I was on the floor. I was trying to contain myself. But you had no apology needed because you was bringing the truth and the way and the light.
That's
and
right.
Times I'm not talking to my woke boomers or my woke Gen Xers. I'm talking about the ones that continue to want us to drink this democratic scissor to our peril. That's who I'm speaking to. So I'm here to tell y'all, we continue to do the same thing, expecting a different result. It's called the definition of insanity. It is insane when we are 200 liquid in LA and $8 liquid in Boston and $11 liquid in Florida to continue to do this. We need to have the bravery of our Dr. Charles Morrison of his era. That's the wind beneath our wings. That's the ADOS in our DNA, that we need to break the back of the establishment and burn this to the ground and let them fight it and hug it out for the next 4 years. Maybe by 2024, they will be full-chested on that platform about the trillions we are owed over multi-generations. If not, guess what, family? Wash, rinse, repeat. This needs to be the new way that the ADOS at large votes. I don't care who you vote top of the ticket. Don't give it to the Democrats. Don't give it to the Democrats at the top, but deliver that Democratic Congress to protect over 42% of us since COVID who rely on government assistance by design of institutional systemic racism. I'm telling all my soldiers to stand up.
Yes, the call must be made. It's in our DNA, like you just said. And being in California, I don't know if that's where you're from, but I know that's where you're at. Being from California, you remind me so much of one of my greatest heroes, Brother Huey P. Newton. You got so much Huey P. Newton in you right now. And Huey P. And I don't think people really understand when you talk about breaking the backs of the establishment and what that really means, right? But that call that you're making for it is absolutely necessary. Somebody has to make the call. And when you talk, I agree with your position. So what I say, right, I talk about it to my brothers and my justice correspondents a little bit differently. I say, as the president, I need what has always had the best results is when we've had the evilest damn president in office. Because when you get these silver-tongued, fork-tongued, smooth-talking, lion-ass people in presidency, the people go right to sleep. And they go to bed and they think everything's all good. And that's when the most nefarious policies get passed. But when you have a George Bush Jr. devil in the office, you see black folks waking up and coming together and ready to fight and get things going. And then they put a old silver-tongued devil like Obama in the office and everybody go right back to sleep. So now you get Trump, another devil from the highest order in the office. And now folks are waking back up and they trying to, we got to do something. We got to do something. So I don't need nobody coming into that White House that's going to put water on this fire that we got going on. We need more wind on the fire. We need more kindling on the fire. And we need to maintain that heat until, like you said, we burn this damn thing down, right? Because we have to. Because we have to. You have to destroy and build. And that and a lot of people don't like that type of language because they're deep down, they have too much fear in their gut. And they don't really have the intestinal fortitude to really act on the things that must be acted on to actually make that transformation that they all talk about that they want. But they like to talk about it on YouTube and talk about it in their chat groups. But when it goes out, when it's time to go outside and actually really fight for this thing, they ain't got nothing to say. They don't got no energy. They can live and sweat and bleed and die at work and die at church and die all over the place. When it comes time to fighting for liberation and freedom, they ain't got no blood. blood. They can go out and work and do everything that they can, and they have these private liberation conversations, but when they go outside, they don't do no liberation work. So this is real. This is not just a conversation, and it's time for us to stop having just conversations, and we have to go out there and and fight for reparations. Reparations is a fight. Politics is a war. And if you ain't willing to fight this war to the end, then you need to get out the way so we can raise up the next generation of warriors who are committed to the fight. Because a lot of y'all just talk and you ain't ready to do no walking. And I'm totally down with Sister Nirvana and anybody who is as passionate as she is, because I can see she's serious and I can see she's real. A lot of people just like to hear their own voice, and they want to hold a lot of crowd, and they want a lot of followers, and they want a lot of amen. They want to create these amen corners, and they want to have their own little YouTube churches. But this ain't about having no YouTube church. This is about liberation, education, and reparations. And if you ain't with that work, then you counterproductive to what we trying to get done.
Facts.
That's facts. I want to say, and I'm gonna let y'all jump in, brothers, but I have to tell this point because Logic, put it down so thoroughly, like he always does. I say Logic for president. Maybe I'll be his VP. That would be a real victory in the White House, you say, for the ADOS. But anywho,
oh yeah,
real quick, a trifecta of either party is going to be to ADOS peril. That means if y'all deliver a Democratic top and a Democratic Congress, or a Republican top and a Republican Congress, we are done. You see both parties, and I'm doing a show tomorrow, shameless plug, at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time with a couple of other co-hosts about immigration being weaponized against ADOS to extinct us. If y'all don't get out here and deliver the Republican top and the Democratic bottom, we're done. And I say this to those who are scared. Yes, there will be casualties. Yes. Okay. So to all of you, it's like, oh my God, clutching your invisible pearls. There will be casualties, but guess what? ADOS just won't be the only ones. You let them get a trifecta of either party. Everybody's going to get their little bags that they done negotiated with both sides, because right now you see DNC in a fight as well as the Republicans for that immigrant vote. They're talking about opening up these borders down here. We're already flattened down here. I mean, we 6%, and I don't even know of that 6 who is truly ADOS, because they lump us with Caribbean and African immigrants. ADOS 200 liquid. To African immigrants, 60,000 liquid down this piece. To Kamala's people, $245,000 liquid. You understand? When they open up these borders to 11 million more and give them access and a pathway to citizenship before making you American, it is a wrap. We cannot survive COVID, government-sanctioned executions, immigration, Republicans on $200 a month, $8, $11. Like, we're not going to survive the economic destruction that's already coming for us, as over 60 million folks have already lost their job. And nobody's really telling you how many of that means ADOS. Under Obama, he created 1 million white millionaires. And we lost 43% of our wealth under Obama, whom we put into office for 2 terms. So y'all fool around and not invoke this strategy that was suggested by Dr. Charles Morris back in the gap, early 1900s, then you get what you get. And that's the real war coming for you. This one, you won't be the only one.
That's right.
If you let either of them get through in a full house, I'm telling you, we're finished. And this is the last election cycle. This really matters for us. So we really have to go out here and break the back. The time is now. Cut down the tall trees.
That's right.
We introduced our brother Grim to the building. No, brother Ali, if you were saying something, we got our other brother, Grim, in the building.
No, I had said something. I said something about indentured servitude, but we could go forward. And when she was talking about immigration, but go ahead.
No, we can't talk about that.
But that is
that's an inside joke, y'all.
Hey,
That is an inside joke.
It's really not an inside joke, but it's a discussion
It's an inside joke.
that we were going to launch at a later time. But
it's an inside joke.
We have some dynamic. We have some very dynamic proposals for the future. We'll just say that. We have some very dynamic, transformative proposals for the future.
I'm looking forward to it.
I know you are. You are a dynamic duo. I wish I could be on every time you're on, so we can get at them together. That we
Let's do this, Logic. Everybody's begging for it. You know they begging for it. They all. Why can't y'all just do it, Angela? I'm like, whenever that brother wants to grace my show, or I'll come here. I love all of y'all, Black and Strong. It just, I ladies can agree. Having this ilk of brothers stand strong for ADOS, you know, in an era when folks are trying to co-opt Black love and destroy Black love. I'm here to tell you, I feel the love from you brothers, and I am just humbled. I don't even know if y'all even understand. I've been wanting to be on this show for a while. I hit up Naheem, like, I want to come on and talk about. So I'm honored to be here with you brothers. I love each and every one of you, Black and Strong. As your audience, you know, I can't see them, but let them know I love them.
You have a home here. Anytime you want to slide on through, you got an open invitation. We got an open platform policy, and it's always open for you.
Oh, blessings! Thank you so much. I receive it, and I return it 1,000,000-fold over at the Friends of ADOS TV.
That's the name of a channel. Somebody asked, do you go live on Facebook and YouTube or just Facebook?
I'm Facebook, Twitter, Periscope.
Okay.
I got the screen like you guys have, so I'm everywhere. Friends of ADOS TV, subscribe, like, and share. I'm a big mouth. They call me a drama queen. Sometimes I cry on my show. I just, I feel everything concerning ADOS, and I feel the sense of urgency of the moment that's upon us. And yes, people say, oh, she's just a drama queen. But you know what? I don't care who talks about me. I don't care if I got one person watching. I am using what God gave me with my unique voice, with my unique drama-filled, passionate personality to get it done for ADOS. So I feel like all of our voices are unique, and every last one of them is needed to grow this movement and to get those reparations. And that's what I encourage you guys to do. Keep doing it, brothers, no matter what the haters say, because that's what I did. I had to take off the Twitter wars that came from my past, and I had to shake it off and get right back on this channel and keep going. So I'm so thankful to you, brothers, for continuing to grow Black and Strong on this channel and pushing this message out. I thank you for your love of ADOS. I mean, I'm not trying to wind the show down, but whenever y'all ready to go, because I can talk. I was born to talk.
Hey, we just getting started. Talk your talk, because whenever we got an opportunity to have a discussion with a dynamic, powerful sister like yourself, we want to take full advantage of that, because it's not people have given us compliments about bringing a strong manly brotherhood presence to this scene, but what we're really about is balance and family. And so we need as many dynamic sisters like you, because at the end of the day, we all are the sons and daughters of freedmen, right? And we are brothers and sisters in this struggle. So that's what we are trying to foster, a sense of familyhood in this particular space. It ain't all, it's no big I's and little U's. It's all family. We about us, we, and our in this moment. You know what I mean? It ain't about me, my, and I. You know, we don't do that on this on this side of the lines of fire. We're trying to build a unified front and fortify that thing in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, because that's what we got to get, and that's what we after. So now, when we was on that show together, with the Black Conference, I mean, what is it? The Black Agenda Conference, right?
Yes.
Shout out to that sister, Tara, the real Tara, real Tara Perry. That's a dynamic sister too. I wish I could have heard more from her on that panel, because when she talked, She
Let's
has some
reach out
powerful
to the
things to
sister
say.
and bring her on the platform, brother Logic.
Yeah,
Man,
that's
we need to do
ADOS
that.
SoCal. She's run for city council down here, District 8. She was working to unseat Marquise Dawson. And back to something Ali Bay said earlier that I want to touch on when he talked about Ice Cube being contacted by the ADOS movement down here. Do you know that brother got that done when that bill was about to dissipate back into the nothingness from which it was formed? He had been working for a year. This is extra shout out to Ice Cube because he came in at the 11th hour. The same day it was signed was the same day it was disappearing into nothingness. Do you hear me? It was about to be done.
Wow.
So we for about a year. I mean, on the phones with the Senate hearings, we were putting in a lot of work down here. Shout out to ADOS California. Wait a minute, let me tell this too. Shout out to the country. There were ADOS chapters all over the country making those dials to the Senate, voting yes for reparations. In the end, the study, that is, we don't have the reparations yet. In the end, there was only one person that was a no, and she was a senator of, she was Latinx, she was Hispanic senator, was the only no. By the time Tone came out there and spoke, there was another gentleman that spoke, Dr. Weber. This was before Ice Cube even got involved. They got in touch. They've been DMing Ice Cube since the contract with Black America. Shout out to Tansy Flakes, ADOS DMV. Like, they have been really coming for Ice Cube to get his attention. In the 11th hour, we got that study done. And let me help you understand something, family. We need all hands on deck. This work is just getting started. We're now pushing for the ADOS ethnicity down here, right, to secure that gate around the reparations so it don't become a thing that all immigrants get, all right? Because that's what they end up trying to do with everything we get, make it a minority or people of color or BIPOC thing or African immigrant, Caribbean, where we may get a check for $20. So we're putting the gate up around the reparations with that ADOS ethnicity. We're vetting people to position them to be on the commission, and we're pushing for yes on Prop 16 to get affirmative action reinstated. It was taken from us in '96, and hence why we've gone from 16% ADOS down here in LA to less than 6%, because like I said, that's shared with African and Caribbean immigrants. It is because that affirmative action went away. And our staunchest opposers to us having affirmative action up for ADOS are Asians. They're down here $245,000 liquid. We 200 liquid, and they were spilling over into our pro calls. The ones that were yes for the affirmative action, the Asians were calling in droves, couldn't even speak the King's English well, but they sure enough knew how to say no to affirmative action for the ADOS down here. They were on that call like strong. So we have a lot of work for us, and that's what we do beyond the national repair.
Brother Josh, you had anything you wanted to ask, or Brother Ali?
Man, she hit it. I was gonna ask her about, what she knew about, his role in getting those bills passed. I mean, getting the
study.
Yeah, I don't know if his mic shut out or not,
but he dropped.
But yeah, yo,
that's major.
Okay. Hey, Josh,
the mic had cut out, Josh.
Okay, hold on. I think I just driving home. I drove right into my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so that's outstanding, and shout out to Ice Cube.
3121 and Ice Cube, brother Ice Cube's involvement, and she touched on that, and also she touched on the Prop 16. I was just getting ready to bring that up, because I think even depending like on what happens with the reparations proposals that come into play, and then who knows what's going to happen after that. Obviously, that's going to give us leverage to move something forward, some type of policy that's going to improve conditions there. But the AB 30, the Prop 16. Now, like, what do you envision moving forward with that? Because we know that we're not always the primary beneficiaries of that, and even included the language that's included there is centered also around gender. So what do you envision the advocacy going to be around Prop 16? Let's say once it takes effect.
Well, as long as ADOS is in that work group, putting in that work, we are putting a gate up. Once we get that ethnicity, once we get our ethnicity, once they can see us, you understand, the immigrants are masking the failure of ADOS throughout the country. Of the 100% of Black folks in this country, I think the Black immigrants are about 14%. But nobody's talking about how many of them, especially from Africa, come from money. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about how they kick out the poor Haitians and send them back to Haiti, but they're letting in African immigrants to take it over. And then Kamala has a plan to bring in more Brahmin Indian caste, which is white over in India. She's got plans to give them more H-1B visas for tech jobs while she clutches her invisible pearls and tells you she ain't got nothing specifically for your group who eat from in this country, okay?
No, I'm not going to do anything for just Black people.
Exactly. And I said no, absolutely. That's what she did. So, Josh, to answer your question, ADOS is on it. I mean, the movement takes catnaps. And so we send out the directives to you guys to make the calls. We're fixing on HR 40 on a national stage. And then we've got these other 3 work groups. I've aligned myself with all 3 work groups because I'm not just a talking head. I'm about it. I'm about putting in that work and doing my part. So I joined those work groups. I put all the differences I have with people in the group aside because we always have to remember and stay on our square that this is about ADOS and our deliverance. But I saw a sister put up a chat up here that says she's homeless and she's one of the ones we're advocating for. Well, let me help you with something. If we don't all get in this fight, more than her, God bless you, sister. I send my prayers to you. But I too, you have to understand something. I don't want it to take for folks to almost lose everything before they get in this fight. That's what happened with me. I'm educated. I've got experience across industries. And in 2009, dealing with Wells Fargo Bank, you already know the history on them. They owe us a check too. Lots of people owe us checks. But anywho, back to the story.
Yeah, they were part of the predatory lending and stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's 90 degrees down here in LA. I'm fair to the struggle is real. I don't feel my beach breeze, child. That's why I'm fair to y'all. Forgive me. But the sweat is rolling down my back and the ceiling fan is just blowing hot air. We're not used to this kind of heat at 6 o'clock in the evening. We're not used to this. Okay, so forgive me, and I will be fanning.
Oh, you good? No, you good? You on fire right now? So you.
I'm on fire too. That part, one in my mouth revs up the engine. But anywho, I lost 2 very dear ADOS friends and colleagues to the stress of Wells Fargo Bank. One was in her mid-20s. She died from a stress-induced aneurysm over the Memorial holiday weekend of 2009. I had a 5-year-old about to start kindergarten. And I went in there when they all fell into my lap and said, Angela, what are we going to do? I said, get to living or get to dying. Because I'm here to tell you, this job right here is not worth dying for. And if they continue to put the stress and the pressure on ADOS, because why? They wanted us to replace us with immigrants. You guys need to check out Dirty Money, the Wells Fargo story. They showed you how they replaced us with immigrants to do their dirty bidding for the shareholders, okay? They were more concerned about shareholders while talking out the side of their neck. God first, then family, then Wells Fargo. That was a lie. They were always about the shareholders and turning over a profit. So they fired 5,500 immigrants after replacing us. They fired 5,500 immigrants for opening, I want to say, 2 million false accounts to show a profit margin for Wells Fargo, while the CEO of the day, John Stump, got a $183 million golden parachute. They fired the people they replaced us with because they could not get us to collude in these efforts to deceive the customers. And that's why we were being messed with at every turn. I lost another sister friend to sarcoidosis. She was in I think she was around 40 when she passed away, left behind a son of 5 years and a marriage of 5 years and a son of 3. So I'm here to tell you, this came from me. In 2009, I had to make a decision to either get to living or get to dying. I left Wells Fargo in 2009, and the lack of affirmative action down here for ADOS meant it took me about a good year or more to find a job that paid $13 an hour. Okay, now I've grown that, but it's still under the $120,000 I was making. I've grown that exponentially in my industry. But what I'm telling you is that if we don't get affirmative action down here, we're done. That's why we're down from 16 to 10 to 6, less than 6%, because we don't have any social capital at these tables. They don't fire everybody in the private sector. We are 44% of the degreed and only 6% of the private sector. And in the public sector, they've given this over to the immigrants as well. Read Color of Wealth LA to find those numbers and to back me up. I'm not just sitting up here rambling numbers off the top of my neck. I'm here to tell you this stuff is documented by scholars. So we need affirmative action like yesterday. And so we're pushing for that to get past this election cycle. It's on the ballot. And I got into this fight because of what was happening to me in 2009. And so I say, if someone with my education and my job experience can be, reduced in the way that I was when I was looking for work, and it took longer than a year. I say from 2009 to 2013, I had little odd things in between, but it was a nightmare. And at the same time as I was going through a loan modification on my home, the Bank of America was trying to foreclose on the property. It took an act of God to deliver me, okay? At the time, all the major banks were being sued for wrongful foreclosures, okay? I was swept up in that $25 billion settlement. So that included my mortgage. It slashed the mortgage in half. That's what it took for me to stay in my home. So I say all this to say, this is why I fight for ADOS. I don't want this to have to be the case for anyone else amongst our group before they decide to pick up a brick and fight for ADOS.
Definitely. Brother Grimm, did you have something that you wanted to share?
Hey, peace. What's happening, y'all? What's up, Sister Nirvana?
Peace,
to all the panel, peace and love. Man, y'all chopping it up. I really ain't got too much to add, and other than the fact that, when I hear y'all speak and I hear y'all talk and address all of these things with the knowledge and understanding of the wealth gaps and the disparity that exists between us and the various groups, it just shows how deep this rabbit hole go, and how we as a people, the American descendants of slavery, and how far it goes to try to keep us, the conspiracy between Republicans and Democrats. And it's been going on for a very, very long time, and you all finding the receipts to prove it. So the only thing that I just like to say is that, I'm amazed by the knowledge y'all dropping. The sister, she's on fire. Y'all should have her on more often to bring it, and she bring a real human element to it. And I was just listening to the sister story about, Wells Fargo and what she went through, and it's just amazing. She bring a human element to this thing. She ain't no fake perpetrator for likes and share and clickbait. And I've been watching her for a while along with y'all. I usually play the background these days with the BETHEPOWER, but I'm definitely a part, and I appreciate everything y'all doing, man. And I'm gonna just sit back and enjoy it. If y'all have any questions for me, but here's the last thing, the bottom line, as inhuman as those Confederates felt that we were back in those days and invented all types of theological science and natural sciences to try to prove that our people weren't worth anything and that we were only meant to be slaves. That same science and ideology is alive today in both the Democratic and the Republican Party.
Come on.
So, with that being said, what the sister said was right, what Brother Logic was saying was right. I'm all for a total 100% upheaval in these political systems, man, in order to bring justice. We did it once before with the civil rights movement, and we gonna have to do it today. But the only thing that really, and I talk about this with y'all, personally, but the only thing that really depresses me and really brings me down is that it seemed in those days that we were more unified in what we were doing. But today they have so many just soft, sissy, punk, weak, goddamn people in the way. And that's all they want to be is somebody superstar. They looking for followers to follow them. And the populace, man, have to get their stuff together. Character. And if we don't get our character together and we don't have no morals and principles behind this thing, we gonna keep playing this thing out over and over and over again. And one thing I heard y'all say in regard to we got to teach this to our babies. We got to keep the fight going. We got to, man, how long we gonna keep teaching this junk to our babies to keep fighting this fight? This a goddamn fight that could be over tomorrow. Excuse me, Sister Nirvana.
Oh, no.
If some of these goddamn people get the fuck out the way,
That's right, bro.
Out the way.
That's right.
They go monetization. In order for progress to happen, we basically. I'm sorry. If we have to we got to untie the shoestrings so we can walk. Somebody then tied our shoestrings together, and it's usually our own people. So I just wanted to say that, y'all.
Oh, blessings, Grim. Thank you for those accolades. You know what, family? I decided I have to be transparent because we cannot fix what we aren't willing to face.
Absolutely.
We can't fix it.
Exactly.
And that's the problem with a lot of ADOS. Go ahead, Logic.
Yes, no, what you're saying is on point. And what Grim, who is a true mastermind, don't make no doubt about it. We have known that brother for years, a true mastermind. And what, make no mistake, this thing that I don't think a lot of people understand the seriousness of what we're talking about reparations and breaking the back of the establishment and really calling upon a real reconstruction, because reconstruction was overthrown. We didn't get the reconstruction. America never was reconstructed the way it was intended to be reconstructed because it was overthrown. Right? Our heroes were assassinated. Through civil rights, again, through the civil rights movement and the revolutionary movement, our heroes were infiltrated and assassinated again. And people are really scared about that. And they like to talk like they're really working with the energy of those past heroes and all, but they don't really have that spirit. Because when you understand what it really takes. Like my stepfather was a Black Panther in Chicago, and he said that when these were young men, 16, 17, 18, when they joined the revolution, they were so devoted to that cause. At 18, they wrote wills to their parents. Mom, give my baseball cards to my little brother. I'm joining the revolution. You understand? They knew this was about a life or death thing because they were staring at it in the face. They saw it. They was looking at similar conditions that we're seeing now all through social media, dogs getting sick on people being gunned down in the streets with no justice, all kind of wickedness. And that's what happens when you let America show its true colors. Yep. And that's what we need. We don't need no more playing. We don't need no more pretending. And reparation is not a movement or something that you can sashay on, some cute type of movement you can sashay on up into the chambers of Congress and get it passed. This is a war. Make no mistake about it. This is serious business. This ain't no plaything. This ain't nothing that's gonna just be a wave, some type of popular movement that we get to dance and do all kind of weird cookout, goofy stuff with. This is not what this is. This is the work that our ancestors did. They fought, bled, died, put their lives on the line. A lot of y'all say that you're committed to reparations work, but where is the devotion? You understand? Where is the commitment? Where is the fearlessness? It ain't gonna take all of these kind of let's just see what happens, and we need to we get behind these people because they got ties to this and ties to that. No. That's not what it's about. You have to understand what your position is, dig your feet into the ground and get to work. And you can't worry about what somebody gonna think about you or what somebody gonna say about you. That's not what this is. If you scared about coming out with a position, standing on it and fighting for it because you scared of what somebody gonna say about you or who gonna stop talking to you, then you need to get on about the way. That's not what this is about right here. You can't worry about losing friends, losing followers, sacrificing likes for saying what's right and for fighting for truth. You understand? You can't stand on the road to reparations pointing the way and say, reparations is down there, y'all. Reparations is down there, but you scared to death to go down there. We can put a block on the wood on the road and it can point the way to reparations. We don't need you standing in the road pointing to the direction of reparations. We need fearless men and women that are ready to blaze that trail down reparations road. You understand? That's what we need. We need people who ain't scared. You think Harriet Tubman said, hey, yo, y'all, freedom's down there. No, she risked her life and went to where freedom was at. And she came back and got her people and took them with her. You understand? If you ain't got the spirit of Harriet Tubman, get on out the way. If you ain't got the spirit of Huey P. Newton, get on out the way. If you ain't got the spirit of Dr. King, get on up out the way. Dr. King knew he was going to be beat, spit on, bricks thrown at him every time he went out to demonstrate. He knew he could be assassinated every time he went out and demonstrate. He didn't say, no, family, I don't think we should say that. He knew when he spoke out about economic exclusion and the war in Vietnam that there was going to be some serious consequences for that. He ain't say, no, man, that's too controversial. We probably shouldn't say that. We might lose some people. Hell no. He stood on what was right. And he knew.
But guess what? The more of us, that stand up like that, the easier it gets for each person. When it's only one person, it's like that. It's like that adage. It's like that adage about the sticks. You know, you can have one little stick and one pencil. It's easy to break, but you put 20 pencils in your hand and you try to break them at the same time. It's way harder to break. So. Yeah, that you know, sometimes it takes one or two people with courage to step out and stand strong. But if other people can gain some courage from stepping out and standing strong like that, it's going to support all of those even more and exponentially.
Indeed. Let me pull up something. Oh, you wanted to say something, Brother Ali?
Yeah, I wanted to ask the sister a question about a comment that I've seen a number of times. I just want to get her thoughts on it. There's a professor from Howard University that we often debate, we battle with. He thinks that reparations is a fool's errand. He says reparations is a fool's errand. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that is emancipation was a fool's errand. It took 500 of our ancestors to storm the Union camps to put that pressure on Abe Lincoln to free us. He didn't go in it for that. Okay, while he was signing for our emancipation, he was trying to expatriate us over to Haiti. Okay? So I'm here to tell you, and fools like that. Wait, is he ADOS? Is he ADOS? Or, first of all,
I don't know what he is.
When you
don't know.
Okay, when you're dealing with HBCUs, this is what's wrong with Kamala's erasing HBCU debt. How many ADOS is really at the HBCUs today? I attended Howard back in the Gap, okay? So how many of us are really over there when you talk about relieving them of the student loan debt? You're talking about professors from all over the globe that have taken over our HBCUs. They're all over Howard. You're talking about students from all over the globe, white folks too. They're sitting up in our HBCU. So a lot of this is white transfer, okay? It's a white transfer, another white transfer of wealth. When you talk about class-based policies that don't fix race, if only 16% of us are degreed throughout the country, then how many of us can afford to go to an HBCU? Like I told y'all prior, a lot of these immigrants come from money, especially the African ones. That's how they have so much financial and economic advantage. But they come over here as elites. This is why I tell y'all all the time, the color of white is green. You can be blue, black, but when you come from that shmoney, you are white, okay? And so they come over here and they compete for our affirmative action entitlements to get free scholarships to our HBCUs and our Ivy Leagues. They take up all the air in the room, and then these oppressors, these white devils in the government, they tell us to compete with black whiteness. That's what you're up against. You're up against immigrants, African immigrants who've got about 12 years of education before they even brace our shores, while our government gives us a preschool to prison pipeline. Okay, I've shared a story about my daughter. Now, I purchased in a slightly marginal neighborhood that's been cleaned up now that it's been gentrified, okay? But I was one of the ones in the cleanup process, okay, flanked between two Section 8 buildings where they were dealing drugs out of my driveway. And, you know, I had to cuss them a one, and they would say to me, I thought you were a Christian. Well, I'm a cussing Christian today because that's the only language you seem to understand. But anywho, all of that was cleaned up at the expense of me. And then the white folks come in and buy the better homes on the block. So I bought in a slightly marginal neighborhood, and we have school of choice out here, right? So in the beginning, when my daughter was approaching kindergarten, we could apply for as many school of choices as your heart will contend. So I applied for 12 of the top grade schools for my daughter to attend. You know, I went on, you know, a school of choice, like little website and figured them out and mapped it out and applied her. She only got accepted into 2. And so I chose one that was smaller than the other. It was K through 5 in a nice white salt cul-de-sac where there's nothing but shmoney running all through that neighborhood because I knew she'd get a great education. Well, come 5th grade, we get 3 school of choices. Nobody tells the black and brown people that are over at that school to not all done for our top 3 choices, the top 3 producing schools, which were all predominantly white and Hispanic. Okay, nobody educates you on that. So we all gone for the top 3 schools. That gave them a pathway to kick us back to the neighborhood. You talking about the jungle, okay, where these folks don't have parents who invested enough time and energy to place them in the white. These are public schools I'm talking about. So wait a minute, you're gonna kick my daughter from having a pristine white education where they may have been about a population of 3% black. Now she gets to get kicked back in the hood where my property tax dollars are paying for your kids to be educated with public dollars. Those are my property taxes. So my taxes can be used to educate your white kids, not my black baby. You got me all the way mixed up. So of course, I wrote an email that could stand the hair up on your head and your arms, okay? Blasting the superintendent. When he would not respond, I found his ass over at one of the middle schools in one of these symposiums where me and my Creole girlfriend were the only 2 to attend the meeting. He knew who I was when I opened my mouth, okay? Because that's how clear I write my emails. And I open my mouth and I let him know, I'll be damned if you're going to break the spirit of my daughter who's been in this pristine cul-de-sac getting educated, where you guys are funneling all the public dollars to the white public schools and demonetizing the black public schools. You will not break the spirit of my daughter who doesn't know a jungle to get your API scores up. That's not how any of this works. So he, instead of putting me at the school that was #1 in the district 4 miles from my home, he put me in a school 20 miles each way without a busing system out here. So I literally had to take my daughter to and from and partner with my Creole friend whose daughter I got into the school as well. We had to do a co-parenting thing to ensure our kids got the stellar education that my property tax dollars paid for. So if you don't have your people advocating for you, this is absolutely what will come for your children. They want to sit up here and do all of this for immigrants. That's why I keep telling y'all immigration is being weaponized against ADOS to keep us tethered to the bottom. Okay? And so they're doing, they got preschool pipeline for your kids, but the immigrants are going to the HBCUs. Now you want to bail them out and give them all this free education. So this professor, it sounds to me like, well, I don't know, I can't even call him an immigrant because lots of ADOS, the lineage, feel like it's foolhardy for us to fight for this repair. But like I told my daughter when she cried, Mama, why do you have to be the face of this movement? Why do you have to be the voice of this movement? Well, she found out when I went on Fox Soul and burned the stage down that somebody, you know what? The fact that you have to ask me in 2020 because you're afraid that I'm going to get gunned down like a Martin or a Malcolm. That was her deep, sincere fear. Mama, they're going to kill you for speaking up for Black folks. Can't you just donate? Why do you have to speak on this? Why do you have to be the face of it? And I told her, the fact that you have to ask me that question in 2020 is why I must be the face of it, is why I must be the voice of it. And that is what we implore of everyone in this country that is ADOS. Your entire existence is on the line, and I'm talking on both sides of the aisle. So to that professor, I say this was foolhardy for our ancestors who stormed the Union camps and fought for our emancipation.
That's right.
He didn't give it to us willingly, and we've got to do the same thing, lean in until they cut the check in the trillions over multi-generations.
That's right. You know, I just pulled up an article while Sister Angela was speaking that spoke to some of what she was talking about. Story of mother sentenced to jail for enrolling child in different district resurfaced amid college scandal. Of course, you know, the college scandal was these people were basically paying their children's way through college. Some of them got slaps on the wrist. Whatever they did, it was illegal. But it says the story of a Black mother who served jail time for using her father's address so her 2 daughters could enroll at a better school gained new attention on social media this week as news of a widespread college admissions scandal broke. Kelly Williams Bolar served 9 days in jail in 2011 after she was found guilty of using her father's address instead of her own in an attempt to have her daughters enroll in a better school district than the Akron, Ohio one they were slated for, according to Huffington Post. And, you know, it's, let me see. Her story resurfaced after more than 40 people were charged in a college enrollment scandal where wealthy parents, including actresses Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin, paid thousands of dollars to get their children into elite and highly selective colleges. So they didn't have to go the route that our people or many other people, but we're speaking to our people right now because our people are at the bottom and we get the tail end of all of the bad stuff that goes on in the United States of America. And this particular story outlines that we don't have wealth to pay for our children to go to a particularly good school. And if there's a school in the neighborhood that's bad, and we try to send that child to a better school because we want our child focusing on education and not the ills that come with being a proxy bottom caste in this American society, which is fighting and a bunch of other stuff. When you're at the bottom, this is what happens. This is what happens. She sends her daughter to a different school in a different district using her father's address, and she was arrested. So, I seen somebody in the chat, I had to block them, and some other people talking about we're anti-immigrant. There's no anti-immigrant here. We are being systematically replaced.
Thank you.
I want to share something else real quick. and when we interviewed the ADOS LA chapter, shout out to ADOS LA, I brought up some of these demographics, and this is startling to me. Racial ethnic makeup of California. According to the 2018 U.S. Census Bureau estimates, California's population was 59.5% white, 36.6% non-Hispanic white, 14.7% Asian, 13.8% some other race, and 5.8% Black or African American. I'm like, hold up, let's scroll up so y'all can see the demographics of California. Now, I think if I'm not mistaken, I did the demographics for Los Angeles alone. How is it? Let's look at this pie chart here. How is it that Black represents this green right here at 5.51%? Blue, we have Hispanic of any race, which basically includes Hispanics who identify or call themselves white, if I'm not mistaken. No, it doesn't. It's just, this is disaggregated. White is in this burnt orange color right here at the bottom, which represents 36.64%. Asians is this orange right here, this orange section. Black is this green. How can the people who are foundational to this country, how can the people who are foundational to this country be at the bottom of demographics to any other people besides quote unquote white people here in the United States of America, if this is not by design? And I'm going to drop a video soon speaking to how abortion and things of that nature
let me
to our population and its decline over the past since 1973. So, I wanted to bring that up because I think that is very, very important for us to know as we look at this thing. Our sister is out in California. Brother Logic.
Yo, let me just say this about immigration in the comment that you just referred to. First and foremost, right? I just got finished talking about it, right? First, and let me just say it like this. I don't give a damn what you call us. We're not anti-immigration. We're pro-reparations. We're not anti-immigrant. We are anti-erasure. And we have a right to speak to these things because we are the group that is targeted and being and trying to be erased at this moment. So because you don't understand that, that's not our problem. If you reject the education, that's not our problem. We're here to speak to our situations and our conditions. And our conditions are so dire at this moment, we don't got time to be worrying about hurt feelings. And that's not what this is right now. Understand this. I'm not an anti-reparation. I'm not an anti-immigrationist. I'm a reparationist. But understand this. When immigrants come to America, they are migrating to my home country. They're leaving their countries of origin, coming to the country that my ancestors built. So I get to say what I think about their presence here. I get to say that. I get an opinion. My ancestors ratified the Constitution of America. I get to talk about what immigration impact is doing to the overall climate, culture, and future of America, and more specifically, what it's doing to my future. If you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you, because we're going to talk about it. You understand? Yep. So when immigrants are coming here, they're coming in search of something, and they're or they're fleeing from something. So you're coming here to get something, and you're staying here because you're getting it. and you're running from something because wherever you came from, it didn't have what you was looking for. So that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness that you're getting in America is reparations for you. It's reparations from whatever you was running from and fleeing from your country of origin. So you don't get to come here and talk to me about reparations. You don't get to come here and tell me what type of policies you don't like that we're promoting. That's not what you get to do to me, because now you're putting yourself at odds with a very powerful people. And if you don't know we powerful, I don't know where you've been. I don't know how much you know about American history, but we are the overcomers of it all. We have not been able to be defeated. And they've tried every single thing that they can imagine. Everything that you can put onto a people, they done put it onto our people. Every kind of psychological warfare, every kind of brutality, every kind of oppression, exploitation, degradation, we done experienced it all. We are a real powerful people. And what's happening right now, we are quickening those spirits of revolution. We're quickening them spirits of emancipation, abolition, and reparations. So if you're not here, get on about, if you're not with this movement, get on about the way. Because this thing it's like a nuclear bomb when it's go off. And you don't want to be in the blast radius, I'm telling you. Because
that's right. And let me
get what we're going to get. And ain't nobody going to stop us from getting it. And if all the immigrants who truly believe in justice, and you truly believe that the oppression that you had when you was in your country that made you want to come here, whether you came from a communist country, whether you came from a cartel infested country where there was shooting and killings and drug lords, wherever you came from, whether it was a search of more money opportunities and you wanted to live a capitalist society, if whatever it may have been, if you're not down with this and you don't understand this, and if you are for justice, you need to get on the right side of the road, because you know where that arc of justice bends towards, right? So what the moral compass? Come on, Josh, how the quote goes?
The moral arc of the universe bends towards justice.
There you go.
Yes.
Cause I know that because they got man, they got the MLK monument over here in DC. So my son sees that all the time. I wanted to say one thing real quick just before you jump in. If anybody is at odds with what we're saying about, erasure, that's not something that we're necessarily directing at the individual, quote unquote, immigrant or whoever to come over here, right? We're talking about, it was made evident and signal to us when we asked, when the question about reparations was asked to Joe Biden on the Democratic debate stage, presidential debate stage, and he immediately pivoted and said it's about immigrants. Immigrants are the future. That's not. So how were we supposed to take that?
That's right.
We asked you a question about reparations, and you pivoted to immigrants. So don't get on us. We're just responding to the signals that's been given to us.
Yes, Josh, that's fire.
And it's interesting that if you do the data, we've ran this education down so many times, but if you understand when immigration boom happened and when everybody all of a sudden wanted to start coming to America, it was after my ancestors and Abba's ancestors and Nirvana's ancestors and Ali's ancestors and Josh's ancestors fought all of the horrific battles it took to even make this a attractive country to come to, because nobody wanted to come through here during the 85 years of lynching and sundown laws and sundown counties. And a lot of y'all didn't want to come here when during Jim Crow. Y'all didn't want to come here during convict leasing. You didn't want to come here during the Vagrancy Act. Y'all didn't want to come here then. We had to live through that. So you don't come here and dictate to us. And if you had any kind of decency, any kind of moral consciousness, you would get on this lock arms with us and say, we are grateful for everything that y'all did to make an America that we are able to experience possible. What can we do to help y'all? That's the type of energy I need from y'all. If that's not the type of energy you're bringing, then you don't need to talk to me.
And the undertone is obviously that statement speaks to Black immigrants, but we got to talk to white immigrants too. We got to talk to Indian immigrants.
Oh, yes.
Chinese. You cannot be opposing affirmative action, but still think we're supposed to be in solidarity within the Democratic Party. Where to do that at? That don't make no kind of sense.
Understand
that don't make no
this.
kind of sense.
Understand this, right? That message was targeted to Black immigrants specifically, no matter where they come from, Brazil, Cuba, Africa, the DR, Haiti, but it is not for them alone. It is not for them alone, because guess what? If it wasn't for our people, the Irish wouldn't have been made white. There would have been no incentive to make the Irish white. If it wasn't for our ancestors, the Italians wouldn't have been made white. There would have been no incentive to make them white. They would have kept y'all on the bottom like they wanted to, because they didn't want us to be the bottom. They made a deal with y'all, and they elevated y'all just above the bottom, just above the bottom. So you owe us a debt as well, because we were the incentive that they used, and that generated the act to make you white in America. So don't get it twisted. This ain't just for the Black immigrants that don't understand. It's for the white immigrants that was brought into and incorporated into the plan to make us the bottom caste. All of y'all owe us a debt.
Yes, I mean, come on now. They actually, being pro-ADOS, I say this all the time, isn't anti-immigration, and it's not pro-Trump. But see, this is what they like to do to guilt us because of our strong ADOS voices coming out of the shadows. I've never seen such a wave of pride sweeping through the American descendants of chattel slavery in the way I've experienced in this movement. And that's by design. So they like to keep a lot of this homophobic, Russiagate, Trump supporting nonsense going on to distract from the real issues. And so our goal is to keep the blinders on. But let's talk about how they gave reparations through the Homestead Act to make these white folks whole. Let's talk about how they are making Latinx community white. Okay, they're able to mark white. Let's talk about how they bring these immigrants over and weaponize it against us the way they use ADOS against the whites. Okay, they use us to suppress the wages of white folks back in the migration when we post-slavery went west, Midwest, north, and east. And so that's actually what they're doing right now. They're using immigrants to do the same things to us. And so for me, if you are sitting up here taking it personal, then it's got someplace to land. And I'm done apologizing, because that's between you and your God. You need to get yourself all the way together. That you don't understand the distinction between my fight for my people and unmasking and unflattening blackness so we can be seen and be dealt with. My people are dying disproportionately from government-sanctioned executions. If you $60,000 liquid African immigrants to my 200 liquid, where are the race soldiers? They're in my neighborhoods. They're not in your neighborhoods, because you get to cloak yourself in whiteness and retreat to your white neighborhood with your 60,000 liquid. So don't be bringing up to me about Amadou Diallo, God bless him. I know that they've got a few to their credit. But when they come to jail, our brothers in the private prison industrial complex, they're not over in your communities. Busting anybody up in your community for drugs. Why? They're busting our brothers for drugs because they denied them jobs that they're giving to immigrants. Go by any construction site in Chicago, any place in this country, and see who is on those sites, who is getting the contracts. So the government has been complicit in our conditions. They have been complicit in every affront from the time we were emancipated, from the time we were drugged here as chattel slavery. They have been complicit in breaking us. That's who this fight is with. And if you ain't on board, then you are in the way. So you want to give us all these maladies in our neighborhoods and then blame us for black-on-black crimes and blame us for black-on-black murders. And then you talk about Joe Biden and Trump having a pissing match over who's going to bring more law and order to the communities. They're not talking about dismantling private prisons. They're not talking about decimating qualified immunity so these race soldiers could go to jail. They're talking about more oppressive law and order. Both of these devils are two fangs of the same snakehead, as Rizza said on the show the other day. Listen here, and that's what we're dealing with. So if you want to get all up in your feelings and take it personal that we put a gate up around ADOS and we say it with our chest, and we're proud of what our ancestors did instead of this Wakanda fantasticalism that never existed. Let me help you with something. You do not descend from kings and queens. Those are ones that sold your ass. So y'all that is the lie that they've been telling. We were the bottom caste in Africa. And that's who they sold into slavery. And all the woo, 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 I didn't know it was going to be as heinous as it was. Don't fix the fact that you were complicit and you got to run us those checks too. No, Africa, you don't get a pass. We're not going to sit up here and just dismiss, hello, Akon, sitting up here talking about, let's just forget about slavery. It's keeping you tethered down. No, the system is keeping us tethered down.
Yes.
If they want me to change the name from reparations to something more palpable for white folks, no. Every time I say reparations, you are reminded of what your ancestors did that you now benefit from. To
That's
the
right.
tune of excess of $100
That's
trillion household dollars to our less than 700 billion. We built all the wealth in this country. So I'm going to keep reparations in your face. I'm going to keep ADOS in your face. And I don't give a damn how you feel about it. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to use my voice to lift my people off the bottom. Like William Dickens said, we are the anchor to America.
Yeah.
And it's time for somebody to trade places because we've been doing this for over 400 years. We've been here long since before then. The Spaniards own us. Come on now. We are the indigenous people. Okay? So I'm just saying all this to say, we've got to get to a place where we don't feel the need to apologize to anyone for being ADOS first, loud from your chest. And I'm going to make you uncomfortable with my words until you cut that check.
That's right. So
me and Ali was talking about, it's interesting that you brought up Amadou Diallo. Me and Ali was talking about that the other day, and how and it's consistent with a lot of things that I'm saying.
No, we were talking about that today.
That was this morning. What
today?
Yeah, that was earlier today, right? That's just how on point the sister is, right? Because we was saying, like, in many instances, there are these like ones and twos, and I'm not trying to diminish the significance of the atrocity, but I'm talking about the numerical representation and how people want to use these individual experiences to try to fish hook a whole entire group in, right? So what happened to Amadou Diallo was a horrific incident that happened to him and his family particular. That was not a government-sanctioned policy on all Haitians. You understand? When we're talking about sundown laws, Jim Crow, black codes, and all of that, we're talking about government complicit from every level about blanket public subjugation to all of us. That's what we're talking about. So we're not talking about some type of racial injustice that was administered on behalf of a police department in some municipality somewhere. What we're talking about is if those instances happen, your issue is with the police department, that city, that state, and things like that. What we're talking about is policy that mattered wherever you were at in America. It didn't matter if you was in the North. It didn't matter if you was in the South. You understand? You had covenant deeds in the North. You understand? You had Martin Luther King said that the wickedness and the violence, he said he had more fear for his life when he was in Chicago than he had when he was in Alabama. You understand? And in Mississippi and then in Georgia, because it existed all over, and the policies undergirded the violence that we had to undergo in the domestic terrorism that we had to live through. That is not the same situation for these people who want to try to say, look what happened to Amadou Diallo. He was Haitian, but you ain't even related to Amadou Diallo. That's not your family. That didn't happen to your family. Right. That didn't happen to you. But my mama had to live through all of the segregation. Her mother had to live through all of that. Her mother and father and all that before them. It was happened to my whole entire line. So you can't use somebody who is from where you from. You might not even know this individual, be related to him or nothing, and try to wrap your whole entire group into an incident. That's not how this works. We're talking about government policy that stems from the formation of the country up into present day. It's something totally different. And what I really don't understand is how people are having a hard time coalescing around this message. If you are for justice and there's any seeds of justice in your heart, you should want us to get it. You should be like, those people deserve justice. Let's fight for them. You can fight for people in South Africa during apartheid, but you can't fight for us. You can fight for people in Mexico, but you can't fight for us. You can fight for people all over the world. You got international justice fighting potential, but there's no potential for domestic justice here at home. You have to get your priorities straight. I don't care how you feel, because there's a LeBron James or there's a Oprah Winfrey, and you think that that's a representation for all of us. That is not the story. We are here to tell you now, if you're interested in justice, this is the movement that you want to be into. If you feel like you're a rebel and you're looking for a cause, this is the cause of all causes to be rebellious for, right? Come on over on this side. This is the side where God is at. This is the side where the energy of justice is at. This is the side of where the energy of righteousness is at. And if you want to be on the side of right, come on and be a reparationist tonight. That's all I got to say.
I love it.
I am a reparationist.
I am a reparationist.
I was just gonna say, that's right. I was just gonna say, Abner Louima. Amadou Diallo was West African. In the chat, they're saying he was from Guinea, I believe.
Okay.
And Abner Louima was the Haitian brother who was sodomized over in Brooklyn by the police. I remember that. Very unfortunate incident. But yeah, I just wanted to clear that up.
Thank you for that. I don't mean any disrespect to anyone that has been gunned down by the race soldiers, but what I'm trying to express is that, I'm not getting into a pissing match over who has suffered more here. That's not my goal. My goal is to help immigrants understand, of all walks of life, we are your reparations. We are your reparations. Slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in this country that our ancestors built with their lives paved the way for you to be here. So you don't need to be in this discussion other than to be lifting up a brick. And I know why you don't do it. And I know why you continue to come for the ADOS, because you don't want to trade places. And capitalism requires a bottom caste. So I'm asking everybody in this, all of ADOS, we need to get to the place, just like the government, how they like to capitalize their profits and socialize their losses. We need to socialize our suffering this election cycle by delivering a Republican top and a Democratic Congress to break the back of the establishment. Not much will get done while ADOS works for the next 2 years to bring up and raise up viable candidates that can go in here and unseat the Congress that is lame where ADOS and reparations is concerned. We'll have 2 more years to work on fixing HR 40, because right now Pelosi is trying to pass that quick, fast, and in a hurry. Why? Because Sheila Jackson Lee, who to my understanding is not ADOS, is working with Narcan and Cobra to in fact get that no teeth HR 40 passed to include all Blacks, as if I can go over to the Caribbean and even qualify for CARICOM. But I found out why she's doing that, because CARICOM don't have any cash attached to their reparations. And that's what they're trying to do to ours. So I'm telling you, we got to fix HR 40 campaign, fix it or throw it out. But Pelosi is pushing hard for everybody to get behind it, because there's no teeth in it and no cash in it for ADOS, and it includes everybody. And not everybody that's Black in this country endured the slavery, Jim Crow, and the rest. That's our people to this day.
That's right.
Our people are locked down for peddling weed, okay? Biden's law. Y'all want to all of a sudden forget about the 94 crime bill, who said in the Senate hearings that he wanted to name the crime bill after himself. How quickly y'all forget. It's all over YouTube. You can look it up. 7 minutes on the hearing floor telling you he don't give a damn how they got tethered to the bottom. He don't give a damn that they were complicit in tethering us to the bottom, locked them up. And he made charges for crack harsher than cocaine, because his son Hunter was a crackhead and a cokehead. And now Hunter is cleaning up with his underhanded backdoor deals overseas, raking in millions of dollars. Now, how many ADOS do you know that are freed from prison and can even find a job? While his crackhead of a son, reformed crackhead of a son, reformed cocaine head, gets to $1 million deals to line his pocket for his legacy. Well, guess what? Our brothers are still on lockdown while the states turn a profit. They put these weed shops in our hood. They're owned by our oppressors who come and buy the weed from the shops they own and go back to their pristine communities. But they give us all the failure. They give us the abortion clinics. They give us the weed shops. Don't let us be a partner in it. The ex-felons who were locked up for weed can't even get partnerships in these weed shops. And so they're still making a profit. They're making a profit off of the private prison industrial complex, which is a new slavery. It went from slavery to convict leasing to private prisons. Close to 1 million Black men on lockdown, more than all the women locked down in the entire globe. And so they give us all of this mayhem. They give us preschool to prison pipeline. They give us joblessness, homelessness, lack of affordable housing, redlining us into environmentally racist communities, redlining us into environmentally racist tenement housing. They give us lack of affordable health care. They give us lack of college degrees. They give us no, we can't own businesses in our communities. We can't own homes in our communities. And then they give us government-sanctioned executions to clear us out when we refuse to give up our homes so that the riots can ensue and they can come right on through and gentrify the rest of us out of our own communities instead of giving us the reparations we are owed so that we can do for ourselves. And they know how powerful it is when we've got what we need to do for ourselves. Look at all the Wall Street massacres. I think there's about 60 in total, where every time we built, when they told us no, until they realized they were so stupid, they decided to capitalize on it and give us jobs for minimum wages, okay? Before they knew that it was profitable, we were running it. And when we would run it, they come through and burn it to the ground, lynch us, murder us, or make us go on the run to be free so we can save our families. That is what the government is complicit in. That is why the government owes us in the trillions over multi-generations. Don't you get it confused or mixed up. This ain't about you immigrants. It is about the way the government is weaponizing your immigration to keep my people tethered to the bottom. I don't mind you coming over here for opportunity, but not at the expense and the oppression of ADOS. That's not how any of this works. I'll take a breath.
Indeed, indeed. We're going to wrap it up. We're coming on 2 hours. So I want to give a shout out to Sister Angela Nirvana for coming on.
Yes.
We knew you were going to bring the fire tonight, and you did exactly that. Shout out to everybody that's listening live and everybody that will listen. This Sunday, I'm going to have the BTP youth on. We're going to have them talk about the lost cause teachings and how the United Daughters of the Confederacy changed up the history in our history books. So we're going to be touching on that and probably some other topics with the youth. And I look forward to that. But anybody had any closing words that they wanted to say?
Absolutely. I'm gonna let Sister Angela close out, since that's our guest. And we'll close out. Let Ali ride, and then we'll close out. Let her make some last remarks.
Well, I just, I'm glad I didn't fan out and forget my thoughts, because being on this show with this ilk of intelligence and beautiful Black brothers, I thought I was going to fan out and not be able to form my thoughts. But I contained myself and I got a lot off my chest. I thank you guys for welcoming me to your show. Shout out in the chat if you want these brothers to grace the Friends of ADOS TV. I want that show over there.
We got you,
I want to
sis.
thank your audience. I love these comments. We've got some of the most beautiful, intelligent ADOS in this chat. I thank you so much for your love. I thank you for your support. You guys have been with me, some of you that I've seen come up on the chat since, before I was dragged. Y'all stayed with me. You guys know you are the wind beneath my wings. You all know I love each and every one of you, black and strong. Peace until tomorrow, family. 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I'm going in on more immigration and the reshaping of Black America. Thank you, fellas.
Yes.
Definitely. Anybody had any closing statements?
Yeah, I know Ali has something to say.
No,
Let Josh, if Josh want to say something, and then I'll go.
yeah. I was just gonna say, I appreciate the sister. Appreciate the sister for being on. She brought the fire as expected, and I'm looking forward to the next time that you're on with us, because I'm sure it's going to be just as explosive and enlightening. So thank you again,
Brother Josh.
All right, Josh. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, definitely, Sister Angela. Shout out to you. Man, like, just listen to your voice, man. That's a powerful, powerful voice, and it just gets you fired up. It's like, man, you ready to get out here and make some things happen after listening to you. But I want to say also, the BTP youth, y'all don't sleep on that. That's something that we want to grow, and we want to expand, and also we want to get some resources to the youth. So we want to get the youth each a copy of From Here to Equality to start reading and building on, and so we can better build up the next generation of reparationists. So if we don't really talk about donations and all that kind of stuff like that, but if anybody is going to want us to give to that cause, we'd appreciate it, because we want to get as many copies of books to the kids that are going to be a part of that program as we can. So I wanted to share that piece. But that's all I had to say. Thanks for coming on the show, sis. Good night.
Oh, bless you.
Yes. So I echo what the brothers before me said in regards to you coming on the show. I want to give an almighty thank you for coming on the show. Outstanding job, sister. Like I said earlier, you are one of the most dynamic and powerful voices in this space. You bring the spirit of the great mother. When you open your mouth, is nothing but holy breath. And I truly appreciate what you did coming on our show tonight. And I'm gonna leave with I'm gonna close out with the saying that I say all the time, but you just brought me another fire saying that I'm gonna recycle any chance I get. So I'm gonna leave out with: government is the game and politics is how it's played. And if once you understand how serious this moment is, like the great sister Angela Nirvana said, you better get to living or get to dying. I'm out.
And hey, man, this was fire. I'm glad that the sister came on. The sister hit me up a minute ago. We definitely plan to have her on much sooner. But some low backyard scuffles happen among family. That stuff happened.
Yeah.
We put our arms around each other when it's all said and done and walk off. But I'm glad that the sister came on, so y'all the rest of the family could get to hear what we hear when we're checking out her channel. That fire, that passion, that drive, that push that she has for reparations and overall reparative justice for our people here in America who are the descendants of slavery. So I want to give honors to you, sis, for coming on and doing your thing. And we just going to close it out with the show's motto, which is: don't just fight the power, become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.